Good morning, everybody. Back on the grind, back on the commute, wherever you're headed. Fantasy football content continues here on the number one fantasy football podcast. Excited to dive into today's show. We are talking about 5 big, bold predictions. These are amazing predictions, and they're going to actually happen. That's the difference with me. Yes, they're bold predictions, but they're actually viable predictions. I'm excited to dive into them, and believe me, these are very, very viable, but they do sound bold to the average sheep. That's why I'm wearing, again, the No Sheep shirt, because to the sheep, these sound bold, but to you guys, it's like to be expected, all right? Bold prediction, excited to dive into this. Before I do, guys, smash it, tap it, slap it, hit the thumbs up. Guys, it really helps the channel. I am an independent, and I looked at the analytics. 70% of people that have come across the channel actually haven't hit subscribe. You just kind of discovered the video. Guys, it's the only channel serving you guys truth, honesty, and I actually want you guys to win your league. Everybody else is copying and pasting rankings. We don't do that. So smash it, tap it, slap it, hit that thumbs up, guys. And of course, grab the 16-round draft solution. It is going to put you light years ahead of the competition. It's a video training with printable cheat sheet that I update up until the season starts. Updated notes. You're going to get all the optimal players drafted in each round with mock drafts, everything on a silver platter. Grab 16 rounds right now. And don't forget to add the Sports Summit. It's a virtual conference with NFL players, including Kyron Williams and Trey Benson. Make sure you guys add that on checkout after you get 16 rounds, all right? Let's get to it. Let's talk big, bold predictions. Again, smash, tap it, slap it. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys think. The first bold prediction, let's dive right into it. Keon Coleman finishes as a top 10 fantasy football wide receiver. Man, does that sound bold to the average sheep, but not here for the Fantasy Football Counselor podcast. Like I said, he's ultra talented. Ultra talented. Now, some people say he's a little bit raw in certain areas. Listen, I am not concerned about Keon Coleman. I absolutely love him. He was drafted in the second round, 33 overall. Love him. He's currently sitting as wide receiver 50, which is absolutely ludicrous for the Bills wide receiver 1. Remember, Diggs was being drafted in the first round in all the drafts in fantasy football for the past several years. And Diggs finished, and I'm giving you guys context so you guys understand, Diggs finished number 9 last year in PPR amongst wide receivers with over 160 targets, 107 receptions, 1,185 yards, and 8 touchdowns. If Diggs can do it with Josh Allen throwing to him, why wouldn't Keon Coleman, young, dynamic, hungry guy who's actually been seen training literally with CeeDee Lamb? He's in good company, okay? These guys are training together. He looks amazing. He looks dynamic. He's coming off in the 8th round. Now, I'm expecting his ADP to absolutely start shooting up, but this guy can easily finish top 10. I'm definitely going to be reaching on him in drafts because I want to make sure he's on my teams. Love Keon Coleman. Love the upside. Love the talent. And my bold prediction, he finishes as a top 10 receiver. Why? Because Diggs did it, and they have no other wide receiver there. People are telling me Curtis Samuel. The guy sucks. Curtis Samuel is terrible. He's not even viable. He's just there for depth. Keon Coleman is the man. 160 freed up targets with Diggs gone. 81 freed up targets gone with Gabe Davis. Tons and tons of volume. Keon Coleman, I'm all over him. Guys, I cannot express it enough, okay? And if you can get him in the 8th round, amazing. If you can get him earlier, try to do that because his ADP is going to be rising. So my bold prediction, he finishes top 10. Bold prediction number 2. Again, tap it, slap it. Energy's high here. Fantasy football is back. Bold prediction. Justin Jefferson busts again significantly and drastically, pushes himself out of the top 20 amongst fantasy football wide receivers in fantasy points. Finishes outside the top 20, and yes, injury counts. Now, his ADP, he's like a top 4 player coming off the board in fantasy draft, okay? Wide receiver number 4, but he's pretty much a top 6, 7 player, okay? He played 10 games last year. He had the hamstring. Now, what I've learned with fantasy football and injuries is that hamstrings linger. So I'm picturing this thing lingering on into next season. Not to mention he's got J.J. McCarthy, a rookie quarterback. I got a lot of question marks here, okay? Enough so that I'm going to say, hey, man, I'm not going to invest in a top 5, 6, 7, 8 pick, first round pick in a guy that's coming off injury, which, again, I think he's going to be fine. He's right now holding out. He wants that mega contract. He's going to be incentivized. His belly's going to be full, and he's got a rookie quarterback, okay? I got my question marks with that. That's enough to push him out of, me wanting to draft him. but also a chance that he has bust written all over him. Now, also on the same end, there's a chance that he comes back and he finishes top 5 and he bounces back. So there's a bounce back opportunity, but there's also a bust opportunity. I'm leaning towards bust. So my bold prediction is that Justin Jefferson yet again finishes outside the top 20 and busts significantly outside his ADP, okay? Hamstring issues, they tend to linger. Rookie quarterbacks, always a question mark, and very, very expensive, okay? Next, bold prediction number 3, guys. Drop it below. Let me know if you agree. Again, these are very, very viable. Next one, I'm going to keep talking about him. Zamir White finishes as a top 10 running back in fantasy football. Listen, we are in a landscape and in a world where literally workhorse running backs are so hard to come by. Literally. Committee. There's no committee with Zamir White. There's Madison, but he sucks. He's there for depth. Understand, teams have to have depth. And they believe in Zamir White. Zamir White is the man. They didn't pay Josh Jacobs. They shipped off Josh Jacobs. Zamir White handled a boatload of carries the last 4 weeks of the NFL season. We're talking 25 attempts per game. Like, it was crazy, okay? Getting a ton of attempts. I think he averaged about 20 attempts in those 4 games. Amazing talent, amazing opportunity. Some people say he's not that good. Listen, he's the workhorse running back on a team that's going to be running the ball a lot. Zamir White is primed to have a great season. Love his 6th-round ADP. Love the talent. Love the opportunity. Love the upside. Love the youth. I'm all over Zamir White. And he is, again, the proof that you can wait a little bit longer to get a running back this year. Also, great depth, as you saw it with Keon Coleman at wide receiver as well. It's going to be such a great year. But Zamir White, absolutely love him. Great talent, great upside. He's going to finish as a top 10 running back. That's a bold prediction, but it's completely viable, okay? So many committees. Number 4, ready for this one, is Justin finishes as a top 5 fantasy football quarterback, and he is immense value. Immense value, sitting as pretty much quarterback, what is that, quarterback 15 or something like that. Finished 17th amongst quarterbacks last year. I talked about it in my other videos. Justin Herbert is primed this year. Absolutely primed. Young, dynamic, talented. And he's coming off his worst year, which is great. He threw just over 3,000 yards. He had 20 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. That was his worst year. No way but up. He is trending back to his 2021 season. We had 380 points, 5,014 passing yards, 38 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions. He's going to have that type of season. They brought in Ladd McConkey, explosive, dynamic guy out of the slot. Going to be catching a lot of balls, good hands. He's good. He's really good. Quentin Johnson with a chip on his shoulder looking for a bounce back. They brought in Brendan Rice, who Jerry Rice is coaching. It's his son, and he's really going to be working with him and making sure he's groomed and ready to go with Justin Herbert. And listen, and they got Palmer there as well. The running game, not as exciting, which is a good thing because they're going to be throwing more, which is going to help Justin Herbert a lot more. I'm not really sold on Gus Bus and the other options there. But listen, Justin Herbert is primed, okay? And I'm telling you, this is going to be his year. Running game, not going to be good. Wide receivers, they've got some options there. Who the one is still as good of a guess as, your guess is as good as mine, basically, all right? Justin Herbert, bold prediction. I don't think it's even that bold. It's totally viable. Top 5 quarterback. And here's the cool thing. You can get this guy as your backup quarterback even, or he could be your starter. You get him after round 7. Amazing. Great value, top 5 upside, okay? It's bold, but it's also completely viable. The last bold prediction, this is a 2-part combo here, and it's an exciting one here. Before I get into it, guys, again, make sure you guys grab the 16-round draft so you don't put your light years out of the consensus, sheep no sheep. And, of course, make sure you guys smash it, tap it, slap it, and drop a comment below. If you're hearing any squeaking, it's this chair. I need to oil it up. You can hear that squeaking here, so don't mind the background noise, okay? Next bold prediction. It's, again, a 2-part combo, all right? Josh Jacobs and James Conner completely bust, and Marshawn Lloyd and Trey Benson, both one of them, either Marshawn Lloyd or Trey Benson, finishes as a top 10, or maybe even both. That's even super bold, as top 10 running backs. Okay, let's talk about it. James Conner is old. He sucks. Last year had a mediocre season, 208 attempts, 1,040 yards, 7 touchdowns. The guy is 29 years old. I want to make a point here with you guys. Got to understand, he's entering his 8th season. He was a backup for 4 years in Pittsburgh. Let me make this clear. He had one 1,000 rushing yard season, just happened last year, had his anomaly season, okay? I think it was 2021 or 2022, he had that 15 rushing touchdown anomaly season as well, and everyone drafted him the year after. I'm like, avoid him. Sure enough, he busted the year after. Listen, James Conner is the past. He was never a true running back one. I don't believe in him. Trey Benson is the top running back prospect coming out of this draft. He is primed. He's going to be the one, without a doubt. Conner sitting as 21, RB21 in PPR amongst running backs. Benson, 41. Fade Conner, draft Benson. Very simple, okay? Conner, and let's talk about Josh Jacobs, and I'm gonna wrap this up here. Josh Jacobs is sitting as RB11. Marshawn Lloyd, who's arguably one of also the best running back prospects coming out of this draft, ultra explosive, great pass catcher. And it's such a damn shame that Marshawn Lloyd is stuffed in behind Josh Jacobs. Now, typically I wouldn't care, but Josh Jacobs got paid so much, 4 years, $48 million. I think that's a huge waste of money because you could have just drafted Marshawn Lloyd and made him your starter. I think he's better than Jacobs. He's more explosive. Jacobs is not outstanding. I mean, last year, 3.5 yards per carry on 233 attempts, 805 yards, not outstanding. He had that big year, when was it, a couple years ago, 340 attempts. Or was it a couple years ago, 1653 in regards to rushing yards, 12 touchdowns. Listen, he was never outstanding. You know, he got the volume. He thrived a couple years ago. Last year, dipped down, had a mediocre year. Jacobs was never an outstanding player. He really just never was. Now he's entering his 6th season. That's like kind of dinosaur years for running backs. And that's why I don't understand, like, why they would pay this guy so much when you could just draft a rookie, okay? Now, the Packers did some good moves. They've got some good depth at running back. It's going to be a good 1-2 punch. But I think either Jacobs really sucks, or he just gets hurt or something. But I think there's a chance that Marshawn Lloyd could overtake him just on looking good, or it could be another Detroit Lions situation where, you know, Marshawn Lloyd just outshines him, similarly to the way Gibbs did with, you know, Montgomery, but they still kind of work Jacobs because they're paying him and he's kind of got that veteran experience. So if there's an injury, which again is very viable with Jacobs, Marshawn Lloyd could really, really take over this backfield, but that's where I think Trey Benson is an immediate start and the RB1, or maybe a week or two to get in. But either way, either Trey Benson or Marshawn Lloyd, one of them finishes as a top 10 running back, and Josh Jacobs and James Conner completely bust and become irrelevant this year or get really significantly wiped out. Now, Josh Jacobs, very unlikely it's going to happen with him, but more likely with James Conner entering his 8th season. He's like 100 years old. He's like a dinosaur, okay? So, bold predictions. Again, Keon Coleman, love him. Top 10 finish. Justin Jefferson going to bust outside the top 20. Zamir White finishes as a top 10 running back. Tons of opportunity to upside with him. There's no committee there. Madison sucks. Justin Herbert finishes as a top 5 quarterback. He did it a couple years ago. He was a top 2. He could do it again. They've got the weapons. And finally, Josh Jacobs and James Conner completely bust, and either Trey Benson and or Marshawn Lloyd become top 10 running backs in fantasy, and they absolutely crush it. That's bold, man, especially that last one. I'm telling you, but all very, very viable. All right, for the reasons that I explained. If you're new to this channel, guys, make sure you guys subscribe, smash it, tap it, slap it, and go grab 16 rounds. It'll put you guys light years ahead of the Sheep's consensus. I appreciate you guys. Fantasy football is back. I'm going to give you guys daily content. I appreciate it. We'll talk soon. Lion up. I'm out.